Chapter 2 Essential Requisites of Contracts. Article 1318 There is no contract unless the following requisites concur: consent of the contracting parties, object certain, which is the subject matter of the contract, and cause of the obligation, which is established. We have learned during our discussions in obligations, diba? One of the sources of an obligation is a contract. At nabanggit na rin natin doon na for a contract to be valid, kailangan meron siyang yung tinatawag natin na COC. So, consent, object, and cause or consideration. So, Section 1, Consent, Article 1319, consent is manifested by the meeting of the offer and the acceptance upon the thing and the cause which are to constitute the contract. The offer must be certain and the acceptance absolute. A qualified acceptance constitutes a counter offer. Acceptance made by letter or telegram does not bind the offerer except from the time it came to his knowledge. The contract in such a case is presumed to have been entered into in the place where the offer was made. Consent, yun nga po, it is manifested by the meeting of the offer and the acceptance. Kumbaga, kung ikaw po ay nag-offer at yung isang party ay inaccept yung iyong offer, nagkaroon na po ng meeting of the minds. So, the offer, kailangan certain and the acceptance, absolute. When you say absolute, wala kang ibang counter offer. Kumbaga, hindi conditional yung pag-accept mo. Diba kadalasan kasi, pag tayo po ay nag-offer or may ibang taong nag-offer sa atin, minsan nakikipaghagal pa tayo or nakikipag-negotiate. Kunwari, sasabihin nyo, o sige, bibilhin ko yan, pero, laging may pero. So, pagka may pero, the acceptance is not absolute. You are actually giving a counter offer. So, the requisites of a valid consent that is given to validate a contract is una, kailangan may legal capacity yung contracting parties. When you say legal capacity, yung acts mo would bind you over something. Kasi tayo mga tao, meron tayong mga tinatawag natin na civil capacity, pero pagka legal capacity, ito na yung parang kakayahan mo to be bound by something you do. So, yung mga incapacitated persons such as emancipated minors, yung mga insane, yung mga baliw, mga deaf-mute na hindi marunong sumulat at magbasa, they are not capacitated or legally capacitated to give their consent. Number 2, manifestation of the conformity of the contracting parties. So, kailangan may outward intention sila. It's either expressed or implied nung kanilang pagbibigay ng consent. Number 3, parties' conformity to the object, cause, terms, and condition of the contract must be intelligent, spontaneous, and free from all vices of consent. Ibig sabihin, talagang binigay po nila yung consent nila, hindi dahil pinilit sila or through violence, intimidation, undue influence, wala pong ganon. So, the person giving his consent should not be suffering from any legal disability. Kailangan meron po talaga siyang kakayahan to give his consent. And the conformity must be real and not simulated or fictitious. Article 1320, an acceptance may be expressed or implied. Pag sinabi pong acceptance, ano po ba ang form ng ating pag-accept ng offer? It could be expressed. When you say express, pwede siyang oral, written, such as by letter or telegram. Depende sa napag-usapan yung manner ng acceptance. Kunwari, si Juan, nag-offer siya sa'yo na pinagbibili niya sa iyo yung kanyang motorbike. At sabi niya, you have until October 5 to give or to let me know your acceptance thereof via registered mail. So, dapat yung pagbibigay mo or pagbibigay alam mo nung acceptance mo dun sa kanyang offer ng pagbenta ng motorbike is through registered mail. And the other form of acceptance is implied. This can be inferred from the conduct of the offeree, showing yung intention niya sa pag-accept. Article 1321, The person making the offer may fix the time, place, and manner of acceptance, all of which must be complied with. So, the person na nag-o-offer po, siya po pwede siyang mag-fix ng oras, lugar, or kung paano matatanggap or paano gagawin yung acceptance. All of which kailangan i-comply po ni offeree. So, kung sino man yung gustong mag-accept ng offer niya, kailangan i-comply yung kanyang conditions ng acceptance. Example natin, nung February 1, si seller, sumulat siya ng sulat kay buyer niya. Ino-offer niya for sale yung 5 sako ng bigas for 5,000 pesos. Doon sa kanyang sulat, in-indicate niya na yung acceptance kailangan isend ni buyer via registered mail and kailangan ma-receive ni seller not later than February 10. So, yung time, kailangan not later than February 10. Yung manner kung paano ibibigay acceptance is through registered mail. So, let's say, binigay ni buyer yung kanyang acceptance via telegram, hindi via registered mail. Hindi nasunod yung manner na in-indicate ni offerer. So, in that sense, nagkaroon ba ng perfected contract? Wala. Kasi yung manner of acceptance that it be sent via registered mail, hindi po siya na-complied with. Kung yung acceptance is sent by registered mail but it was received, let's say, ang usapan February 10, pero na-receive February 11, hindi pa din po perfected yung kontrata kasi at that point, hindi naman nasunod yung time na in-indicate ni offerer. Article 1322, an offer made through an agent is accepted from the time acceptance is communicated to him. Ito po, meron kasi tayong batas na law on agency. Ang isang agent po kasi, he is an extension of the principal. Kung sino po yung nag-authorize sa kanya to act as an agent, kumbaga extension siya nung taong yun. So, under this article, ang sabi, kung yung ahente na authorized by the principal, nalaman niya na inaccept na nung kung sino man nag-accept ng offer ni principal niya. It's as if pinaalam na diretso sa principal. So, if the offer was made by the principal but the acceptance was communicated to the agent, yung knowledge na yun by the agent results in the perfection of the contract kung si agent was duly authorized to receive the acceptance. Otherwise, yung contract is not perfected until si agent na-communicate niya yung acceptance to the principal. So, let's say, si principal, binigyan niya ng power of attorney yung kanyang agent na ibenta yung kotse niya for 500,000 pesos in cash. On March 1, yung ahente niya in-offer to sell the car to the buyer for 500,000 cash. On March 5, inaccept ni buyer yung offer. And si agent, na-receive niya yung acceptance on the same date. Pero, pinaalam ni agent yung acceptance kay principal March 7 na. So, in that effect, since duly authorized naman po si agent to sell the car, meron siyang authorization from the principal. So, from the time na nalaman niya yung acceptance galing kay buyer, which is on March 5, it's as if nalaman na rin ni principal on March 5 na inaccept ni buyer yung offer. Kasi nga, the agent is his extension. Article 1323, an offer becomes ineffective upon the death, civil interdiction, insanity, or insolvency of either party before acceptance is conveyed. So, yan po. Ang offer po is an expression of willingness to contract in certain terms. It is made with the intention that it shall become binding as soon as it is accepted by the person to whom it is addressed. Ang requisites po natin para makonsider na effective yung offer, the one offering must have a serious intention to become bound by his offer. So, kung nag-offer siya, talaga totohanin niya kung ano man yung ino-offer niya. The terms of the offer must be reasonably certain, definite, and complete so that the parties and the court can ascertain the terms of the offer, and the offer must be communicated by the offerer to the offeree, resulting in the offeree's knowledge of the offer. Paano daw pagka-complex yung offer? So, if the offers are interrelated, contract is perfected kung lahat ng offers ay inaccept. Kung hindi naman po interrelated, yung single acceptance ng bawat isang offer results in a perfected contract unless the offerer has made it clear that one is dependent upon the other and acceptance of both is necessary. Article 1324, when the offerer has allowed the offeree a certain period to accept, the offer may be withdrawn at any time before acceptance by communicating such withdrawal except when the option is founded upon a consideration as something paid or promised. So, the period for acceptance, kung meron pong stated na fixed periods in the offer, it must be made within the period given by the offerer. As to the withdrawal, ang general rule natin, pwede naman siya, it could be made by communicating such withdrawal at any time before the acceptance is made. Ang exception natin, kung yung option is founded upon a consideration, something paid or promised, since partial payment of the purchase price is considered as proof of the perfection of the contract. Kung wala naman pong stated period, yung offer is made to a person present, acceptance must be made immediately. So, kunwari, ikaw, nagtitinda ka ng siomai, nag-offer ka, at inaccept agad yun, kinuha yung siomai from you, nagkaroon na ng acceptance. Offer is made to a person absent. Kung wala, acceptance may be made within such time that under normal circumstance, an answer can be expected from him. So, nabanggit natin kanina na ang offer daw, hindi siya, pwede naman siyang ma-withdraw. Basta, hindi pa naglalapse yung period given. Ang exception natin is kung yung option is founded upon a consideration. So, dito pumapasok yung tinatawag natin na option contract at earnest money. Ang option contract po is a contract between the offerer and the offeree whereby the former grants the latter for a valuable consideration the privilege to buy or not to buy certain objects at any time within a specified period and for a fixed price. The privilege granted to the offeree must be supported by a consideration. The option is just considered an offer to sell to the offeree which is not binding until accepted. So, in option contract, what is being given is the option to buy what is being offered. So, example natin dyan. On January 1, si seller, sumulat siya offering the sale of 1,000 shares of stocks in a corporation that he owned to the buyer for 70 pesos per share or a total of 70,000 pesos. Doon sa sulat, in-indicate ni seller na binibigyan niya si buyer up to January 20 to decide kung bibili niya ba yung share or hindi. In-accept ni buyer yung offer of option, not the offer to sell the shares. Before January 20, pwede bang i-withdraw ni seller yung offer to sell the share stock for 70 pesos per share? Pwede po. So, si seller can withdraw the offer by communicating such withdrawal to the buyer, provided buyer has not yet signified his acceptance of the offer to sell the shares. Pero, let's say, dun sa example na yon, inaccept ni buyer yung offer of option and binigyan niya si seller ng option money na 1,000 pesos to hold seller to his promise to sell the shares. In that effect, hindi po pwedeng basta-basta i-withdraw. Ano naman itong tinatawag natin na earnest money? Si earnest money, para po siyang down payment. It is the payment made to a seller by the buyer to show his good faith. Kaya nga earnest, kumbaga pinapakita mo na meron ka talagang intensyon. It will constitute as part of the purchase price if the sale is finally consummated. If the sale is not concluded, the earnest money shall be returned to the would-be buyer unless there is a contrary stipulation. Example natin, si Juan, inoffer niya for sale yung kanyang motorsiklo kay Pedro for 100,000 pesos. And si Pedro, since gusto niya talagang bilhin yung motorbike, sabi niya, o sige, wag mo muna ibenta yan ha, o ito 2,000 pesos, basta wag mo muna ibenta yan. Sasabihin ko sa'yo within the end of week kung bibiling ko yan. So, let's say by the end of the week, binili nga ni Pedro yung motorsiklo. Ang babayaran na lang po niya is 98,000 pesos kasi yung 2,000 pesos na binigay niya na earnest money would form part of the purchase price. Article 1325. Unless it appears otherwise, business advertisement of things for sale are not definite offers but mere invitations to make an offer. Article 1326. Advertisement for bidders are simply invitations to make proposal, and the advertiser is not bound to accept the highest or lowest bidder unless the contrary appears. So, business advertisement, hindi daw siya definite offer, pero invitation to make an offer unless it appears otherwise. Kung yung advertisement contains all the necessary data needed in a contract, definite na po yun. So, ang kailangan na lang is acceptance. Otherwise, it is not a definite offer, it is a mere invitation to make an offer. Ano example natin dito sa complete na that contains all the necessary data? Example, merong paskil na tarpaulin nakalagay na for sale 3-bedroom house on a 300 square meter lot for 4 million cash located at Talondos, Las Piñas City. So lahat ng detalye ay nandun na. Magkano, ano yung binibenta, there is no room for negotiation. Kaya ang kulang na lang ay acceptance. Therefore, that is considered as a definite offer. Under Article 136 naman, itong advertisement for bidders. So, yung pag-imbita to make proposal, yung advertiser, hindi po siya bound to accept kung sino yung highest or lowest bidder. So, kunwari, naglabas ng advertisement, itong advertiser na to that we are opening a public bidding for the purchase of 100 laptops. So, yung 100 laptops, madaming naglagay ng kanilang mga bid. Let's say si A, B, and C, nagbigay sila ng kanya-kanyang bid. Si A, ang presyo na binigay niya ay 30,000 per laptop. Si B, 40,000 per laptop. Si C, 50,000 per laptop. Ang nanalo ay si C. Pwede bang questionin ni A at B yung pag-award ng bid kay C? Hindi po. Kasi si advertiser, yung nagpabid, hindi siya obligado na tanggapin kung sino man yung highest or lowest bidder unless the contrary appears. So, yung mga grounds that would render the offer ineffective, yung mga nabanggit natin kanina, pagka namatay na yung nag-offer, civil interdiction, nakulong siya, nabaliw siya, naging insolvent siya, before nagkaroon ng acceptance, it would render the offer ineffective. Inirevoke niya na yung offer kay offeree. Qualified or conditional acceptance, yung example natin kanina, binentahan ka. Sabi mo, o sige, bibilihin ko yan, pero, so nagbigay ka ng counter offer mo. It would render the offer or original offer ineffective. Number 4, subject matter becomes illegal or impossible before acceptance is communicated. So, example, nag-usap kayo ni Juan, ang usapan nyo, magde-deliver siya sa'yo ng Carabao meat on October 5. Let's say on October 4, naglabas at naging effective yung batas na pinagbabawal na yung pagbebenta ng Carabao meat. So, in that sense, the offer becomes ineffective because the subject matter becomes illegal. And the period given to the offeree to signify his acceptance naglapse na. Article 1327, the following cannot give consent to a contract. Unang-una, unemancipated minors. And number 2, insane or demented person and deaf mutes who do not know how to read or write. When you say unemancipated minor, a minor is a person who is, anong edad po? 18 years of age. Under 18 years of age. Emancipation takes place by the attainment of majority which commences at the age of 18 years old. Kung hindi pa kayo 18 years old daw, you have no capacity to give your consent to a contract. Exception lang natin dyan is yung mga necessaries. Pagkain, pamasahe. So, you could buy that. Kung minor ka, okay lang yun. Kasi those are necessary. Number 2, yung insane or demented person, mga baliw. Deaf, mute, na hindi marunong magsulat o magbasa. So, pagka insane or demented person, ang rule natin is of course yung burden of proving na at the time na nag-enter ng contract, kunwari sabi ng isang partido yung hindi baliw na nung time na nag-enter kami sa contract, may lucid interval moment siya or during his lucid interval. So, the burden of proving na lucid interval naganap o na-execute yung kontrata is dun sa taong nag-i-invoke nun. Yung mga deaf-mute naman, kailangan nilang patunayan na hindi talaga sila marunong magsulat at magbasa at imposibleng naintindihan nila yung kontrata na pinapirma sa kanila. 1328, contracts entered into during a lucid interval, yun nga po, valid po siya. Contracts agreed to in a state of drunkenness or during a hypnotic spell are voidable. So, example, nasa bar ka at sobrang sayo mo, naglalasing ka. Umakyat ka bigla sa stage, lasing ka na, sabi mo, o lahat ng drinks ng tao nandito sa bar, sagot ko na. Kinabukasan, kumatok sa bahay mo yung may-ari ng bar, sinisingil ka dun sa mga drinks na sinabi mo daw na ikaw ang sasagot. So, pwede mong invoke na during that time, you cannot give your consent kasi lasing ka nga. Therefore, void dapat yung kontrata na sinasabi or inoobliga mo yung sarili mo na bayaran lahat ng inumin ng mga tao dun sa bar. Article 1329, the incapacity declared in Article 1327 is subject to the modification determined by law and is understood to be without prejudice to special disqualification established by law. Ito po mga special disqualifications. Kasi 'di ba sabi natin kanina, sino ba yung mga hindi pwede magbigay ng kanilang consent? So, yung mga walang legal capacity. Pero, let's say may legal capacity ka, mag-asawa, may mga certain disqualifications pa din. So, ano ba itong mga disqualifications na ito? Una po, yung mag-asawa who, as a rule, hindi po sila pwede magbentahan ng property to each other. Kasi para ka lang naglilipat ng bulsa or ng pera sa kabilang bulsa papunta sa kabilang bulsa. Or donate to each other, the sale or donation would be considered void. Yung guardian who cannot acquire by purchase the property of the person na binabantayan niya or yung ward niya. Agents who cannot acquire by purchase of the property whose administration or sale has been entrusted to them unless the principal gives his consent. Executors and administrators who cannot acquire by purchase the property of the estate under their administration. Yung mga public officers, bawal nilang bilhin yung mga binibentang property ng state or any subdivision thereof. Justices, judges, prosecuting attorneys, and other officers and employees connected with the administration of justice, bawal nilang bilhin yung subject property under litigation dun sa kanilang court or yung kanilang hinahawakan. Ayan po, yung mga incapacitated to give consent. Article 1330, we now go to things that would vitiate a consent. So, a contract where consent is given through mistake, violence, intimidation, undue influence, or fraud is voidable. Yan po ang vices of consent. We have mistake, violation, intimidation, undue influence, and fraud. Article 1331, in order that mistake may invalidate consent, it should refer to the substance of the thing which is the object of the contract or to those conditions which have principally moved one or both parties to enter into the contract. Mistake as to the identity or qualifications of one of the parties will vitiate consent only when such identity or qualifications have been the principal cause of the contract. A simple mistake of account shall give rise to its correction. Article 1332, when one of the parties is unable to write or to read, or if the contract is in a language not understood by him, and mistake or fraud is alleged, the person enforcing the contract must show that the terms thereof have been fully explained to the former. There is no mistake if the party alleging it knew the doubt, contingency, or risk affecting the object of the contract. Article 1334, mutual error as to the legal effect of an agreement when the real purpose of the parties is frustrated may vitiate consent. Mistake as a general rule refers to mistake of fact and not of law. Bakit po? Kasi hindi ka pwede magkamali ng intindi sa batas. Under the principle of ignorance of the law excuses no one. Exception natin kung yung mistake of law involves mutual error as to the legal effect of an agreement when the real purpose of the parties is frustrated. So, yan po yung mga requisites natin for the exception to apply. Mistake must be with respect to the legal effect of the agreement, it must be mutual, and real purpose of the parties must have been frustrated. So, what are the kinds of mistake of fact which vitiate consent? Una, mistake as to the nature of the contract. So, kunwari, akala mo yung piniramahan mong kontrata ay contract to mortgage, but in fact, it was a contract of sale. So, pwede mo, dahil vitiated yung consent mo kasi mali yung akala mo, pwedeng maging voidable yung kontrata. Mistake as to the object of the contract. Ang sabi mo, binili mo yung bracelet kasi akala mo made out of gold siya. Yung pala, it was made of bronze lang. Mistake as to the quality or principal conditions of the thing. So, akala mo, itong binibili mo ay talagang tunay na diamond, pero yung pala ay hindi. Or another example, itong tao na to, binenta niya yung kanyang lupa for 100,000 pesos kasi kailangan niya ng pera to settle a debt. But the deed of sale that he signed stated that the price would be payable in 5 equal monthly installments. So, na-defeat yung kanyang gustong intention na makuha agad yung pera. Mistake or error in quantity, pagka mali po yung nakasaad dun sa kontrata na bilang. Mistake as to identity of the person or qualifications of one of the parties. Kunwari, as to the identification of the person, akala mo, illegitimate anak mo yung nagpakilalang anak sa labas, kaya dinonatean mo ng property, yung pala hindi. Or, hinire mo yung isang tao kasi akala mo CPA siya, o akala mo board passer siya, yung pala hindi. Mutual error as to the legal effect of an agreement when the real purpose of the parties is frustrated may vitiate consent. When one of the parties is unable to read or if the contract is in a language not understood by him, yung taong nagsasabi na intindihan ng tao na yun, kahit English yung kontrata, has the burden of proving na naintindihan nga talaga nung taong sinasabi niyang nakaintindi nun. Article 1335, there is violence, so we now go to violence, when in order to wrest consent, serious or irresistible force is employed. There is intimidation when one of the contracting parties is compelled by a reasonable and well-grounded fear of an imminent and grave evil upon his person or property or upon the person or property of his spouse, descendants, or ascendants to give his consent. To determine the degree of intimidation, the age, sex, and condition of the person shall be borne in mind. A threat to enforce one's claim through competent authority if the claim is just or legal does not vitiate consent. Article 1336, violence or intimidation shall annul the obligation although it may have been employed by a third person who did not take part in the contract. Merong violence kung ginamit ito para makuha yung consent, at such violence would be serious or irresistible force is employed. Merong threat to pagka yung threat is to enforce one's claim through competent authority, if the claim is just or legal, it will not vitiate consent. Ano example natin dito sa sinasabi na hindi siya nakaka-invalidate ng consent? Kung illegal, kung legal naman yung ground. Example, si creditor mo nagpadala sa'yo ng demand letter at nakalagay dun sa demand letter mo na magfa-file siya ng complaint sa korte against you unless makabayad ka ng utang mo. So, in that effect, hindi po siya violence or intimidation. Kasi, the act threatened to be done, the filing of a complaint, was to be made through a competent authority. Tapos dito naman po, kahit daw third person yung nanakit sa'yo or nagte-threaten na saktan ka, pero ang nagsabi nun is yung kakontrata mo, kumbaga siya yung nag-utos nun, it could still annul the obligation. Requisites natin, physical force employed must be serious and irresistible. The determining cause for the party upon whom it is employed in entering into the contract. Intimidation, there is intimidation when one of the contracting parties is compelled by a reasonable and well-grounded fear of an imminent and grave evil upon his person or property, or upon the person or property of his spouse, descendants, or ascendants to give his consent. Ang requisites po natin is one of the parties is compelled to give his consent by a reasonable and well-grounded fear of an evil. Sabi, papatayin kita, susunugin ko tong bahay mo. The evil must be imminent. So, andyan na. And talagang grave. It must be unjust. And the evil must be the determining cause for the party upon whom it is employed entering into the contract. To determine the degree of intimidation, syempre titignan na natin, i-consider natin yung age, sex, and condition of the parties involved. A threat to enforce one's claim, sabi nga natin, hindi po siya ground to vitiate consent if the claim is just or legal. Article 1337, there is undue influence when a person takes improper advantage of his power over the will of another, depriving the latter of a reasonable freedom of choice. The following circumstances shall be considered: confidential, family, spiritual, and other relations between the parties, or the fact that the person alleged to have been unduly influenced was suffering from mental weakness or was ignorant or in financial distress. So, undue influence. Merong undue influence kung yung tao daw takes improper advantage ng kanyang power over the other person. Ano yung mga example natin dito? Yung mga employer against their employee. Kumbaga, let's say, si employer, tinakot niya si employee na, pag di mo pinirmahan to, tatanggalan kita ng trabaho. So, may undue influence over that person. It must in some measure destroy the free agency of a party and interfere with the exercise of that independent discretion. The test to determine whether or not there is undue influence which will invalidate a contract is to determine whether or not the influence exerted has so overpowered and subjugated the mind of the contracting party as to destroy his free agency, making him express the will of another rather than his own. Circumstances to be considered for the existence of undue influence: yung confidential, family, spiritual, and other relations between the parties, yung mental weakness, ignorance, financial distress. This enumeration is not exclusive. So, kung may mga ibang factors na medyo hawig dito sa mga ito, it could be considered as existence of undue influence. Example natin, merong matandang lalaki na mayaman na malapit na mamatay, meron siyang caretaker. So, dahil nag-uulyanin na itong matandang mayaman, ginawa ng caretaker, pinapirma niya ng will, last will and testament na nakalagay doon na pinapangalan or pinapamana sa kanya lahat nung ari-arian ng matandang lalaki na mamamatay na. So, there is undue influence kasi ginamit niya yung mental weakness ng tao. Due influence does not vitiate consent when influence consists in persuasive arguments or in appeals to the affections which are not prohibited by law or morals, the consent is not vitiated at all. The fear of displeasing persons to whom respect and obedience are due does not vitiate consent. Article 1338, there is fraud when through insidious words or machinations of one of the contracting parties, the other is induced to enter into a contract which without them he would not have agreed thereto. Failure to disclose facts when there is a duty to reveal them, as when the parties are bound by confidential relations, constitutes fraud. And idugtong din natin itong Article 1344. In order that fraud may make a contract voidable, it should be serious and should not have been employed by both contracting parties. So we now go to fraud. Kanina we discussed mistake, violence, intimidation, undue influence. Ngayon naman po, fraud. There is fraud when through the insidious words or machinations of one of the contracting parties, the other is induced to enter into a contract which without them he would not have agreed to. Ito pong insidious words refers to deceitful scheme or plot with an evil design or a fraudulent purpose. Dito naman po sa last paragraph, yung failure to disclose fact, kung meron ka daw duty to reveal them as when the parties are bound by confidential relations, constitutes fraud. Ang example natin dito sa last paragraph is an insurance contract. Diba? Ang insurance contract, may mga bago ka bigyan ng policy, merong questionnaire na papasagutan sa'yo. And isa sa mga questions doon yung kung meron kang previous illness, existing illness, let's say, hindi mo dinisclose na meron kang existing illness or previous illness. That would constitute fraud kasi you had the duty to reveal it. So, in fraud, we actually have two kinds. Una is causal fraud or dolo causante, and second is dolo incidente. Pag sinabi pong dolo causante, ito yung fraud na in-employ to actually induce the other party to enter into a contract. Example, akala mo, yung binibenta sa'yo is a diamond ring. Kasi sabi sa'yo, diamond ring daw yun eh. At dahil gusto mo makabili ng diamond ring, binili mo yun. Kasi gusto mo na meron kang diamond. But it turns out, yung diamond na singsing na yun ay puwet ng baso lang pala. So, that is causal fraud. Kasi kung alam mo sana na puwet ng baso lang yung binibenta sa'yo, hindi ka naman bibili or hindi mo bibilhin yun. So, ano po ba ang difference between dolo causante and dolo incidente? Gravity of fraud, pag dolo causante, it is serious in character. Si dolo incidenta or incidente is not so serious. Efficient cause, si dolo causante, efficient cause siya, which induces the party to enter into a contract. Ang dolo incidente, hindi. Effect ng status ng contract, sa dolo causante, it renders the contracts voidable. Si dolo incidente, it does not affect the validity of the contract. Ang remedy natin pagka dolo causante, annulment with damages. Si dolo incidente, contract remains valid, remedy is to claim for damages. Pag sinabi pong dolo incidente, ang example natin dyan is, I think nabigay ko na rin sa inyo tong example before. Kunwari, si Juan ay merong agricultural lot at si Pedro nagpakilala sa kanya na mahirap na farmer na gustong magkaroon lang ng sariling lupa para pag nag-ani siya, solo niya na lang. So, dahil naawa si Juan dun sa kwento ni Pedro na mahirap lang siya na farmer, instead na ibenta niya ng 1,000 per square meter yung kanyang agricultural lot, pumayag siya na 800 per square meter na lang. But it turns out na itong si Pedro ay hindi pala mahirap na farmer. Isa po pala siyang millionaire na gustong lawakan pa yung subdivision business niya. So, in that sense, dolo incidente lang yon. Kasi although may fraud, yung pagsisinungaling ni Pedro na isa siyang farmer, pero truth and in fact, businessman po siya. Dolo incidente lang yon. Kasi, kahit na ba nalaman ni Juan na hindi farmer si Pedro, ibebenta niya naman talaga yung lupa. Kumbaga, hindi siya na-induce to part with his property by reason of the sinasabi ni Pedro na isa siyang mahirap na farmer. Article 1340, usual exaggerations in trade when the other party had an opportunity to know the facts are not in themselves fraudulent. Ano itong mga usual exaggerations? Yung mga sinasabi ng mga produkto na number 1 toothpaste in the Philippines, number 1 mobile phone in the Philippines. So, yung mga usual exaggerations na yun, hindi naman siya considered na fraud kasi ikaw as consumer, matalino ka naman to determine whether or not totoo ba yun or hindi. Article 1341, mere expression of an opinion does not signify fraud unless made by an expert and the other party has relied on the former's special knowledge. So, as a general rule, yung mere expression ng opinion, even if it turns out to be false, does not constitute fraud. However, kung yung nagbigay ng opinion ay isang expert witness or expert dun sa field na yon, it is like a statement of fact. And if it turns out not to be true, the contract can be annulled on the ground of fraud. Article 1342, misrepresentation by a third person does not vitiate consent unless such misrepresentation has created substantial mistake and the same is mutual. If the misrepresentation has created substantial mistake and the same is mutual. So, kung yung contract may be annulled, not principally on the ground of fraud, but on the ground of error or mistake. Example natin, si buyer bumili ng parcel of land from the seller on the basis of information given to him by a third person that the price was 1,000 per square meter. If it turns out, however, that the price was only 900 pesos per square meter, the misrepresentation committed by a third person is not a ground to annul the contract. However, kung maipapakita ni buyer na si seller at si third person nagkaroon ng kontsabahan dun sa pagpepresyo ng lupa, pwede pong voidable yung contract. 1343, misrepresentation made in good faith is not fraudulent but may constitute error. So, in order the fraud may exist, kailangan kasi may deliberate intent to deceive. Kung wala naman po yun, pwede niya i-invoke yung good faith. So, what are acts considered not fraudulent? Yun nga po, usual exaggerations in trade, mere expression of an opinion, lalo na kung hindi naman siya expert opinion, and misrepresentation by a third person does not vitiate consent unless such misrepresentation has created substantial mistake and the same is mutual, and misrepresentation made in good faith is not fraudulently but may constitute error. There is fraud under special and particular circumstances of the following: when a legal or equitable duty is imposed upon the dominant party to reveal certain facts material to the transaction, and when there is a confidential relation between the parties. 1345, simulation of a contract may be absolute or relative. The former takes place when the parties do not intend to be bound at all, the latter when the parties conceal their true agreement. 1346, an absolutely simulated or fictitious contract is void. A relative simulation when it does not prejudice a third person and is not intended for any purpose contrary to law, morals, good custom, public order, or public policy, binds the parties to their real agreement. So what is a simulation? This is a declaration of a fictitious will deliberately made by agreement of the parties in order to produce, for purposes of deception, the appearance of a juridical act which does not exist. So, what are the two types of simulation of contract? We have absolute simulation. Ito yung wala talagang intention yung parties to honor the contract. And relative simulation, contracting parties conceal their true agreement. The parties are bound by their real agreement when it does not prejudice third person, is not intended for any purpose of law, morals, good customs, public order, or public policy. If the contract concealed is lawful, it is absolutely enforceable. Punta na po tayo ngayon sa object of contracts. Article 1347, all things which are not outside the commerce of men, including future things, may be the object of a contract. All night which are not intransmissible may also be the object of contracts. No contract may be entered into upon future inheritance except in cases expressly authorized by law. All services which are not contrary to law, morals, good custom, public order, or public policy may likewise be the object of a contract. 1348. Impossible things or services cannot be the object of contracts. 1349. The object of every contract must be determinate as to its kind. The fact that the quantity is not determinable shall not be an obstacle to the existence of the contract, provided it is possible to determine the same without the need of a new contract between the parties. As a general rule, all things or services may be the object of contracts. Exception, things outside the commerce of men, so yung sun, yung mga between, hindi mo naman pwedeng ipagbili yan. Pero kung dumaan na po for scientific process, kunwari yung hangin, dumaan ng scientific purpose, naging oxygen tank, pwede yung ibenta. Number 2, intransmissible rights, yung scholarship nyo. Number 3, future inheritance, except in cases overly expressly authorized by law. So, bakit po bawal ibenta yung future inheritance? Kasi wala ka pong karapatan to dispose of the same. Hindi pa sa'yo yung possession. Impossible things or services and objects which are not possible of determination to their kind. Requisites, determinate as to kind, provided it is possible to determine the same without the need of a new contract. Existing or the potential to exist subsequent the contract. It must be licit or dapat hindi po illegal within the commerce of man and transmissible. Exceptions to the rule that no person can enter into a contract with regard to future inheritance. Under Article 130 of the Family Code, which allows the future spouses to give or donate to each other in their marriage settlement their future property to take effect upon the death of the donor, and to the extent laid down by the provisions of the new Civil Code relating the testamentary succession, and under 1080, the code which allows a person to make a partition in his estate among his heirs by an act inter vivos, provided that the legitimate of the compulsory heirs is not prejudiced. Section dito po sa ating object, basta kailangan po capable of existing siya. So, kahit na ba future pa siyang mag-e-exist, basta capable of existing. Example natin, yung mga tuta po na pinagbubuntis pa lang ng aso, so future na yon. Section 3, cause of contracts. So, Article 1350, in onerous contracts, the cause is understood to be for each contracting party. The prestation or promise of a thing or service by the other is in your remuneratory bonds, the service or benefit which is remunerated, and in contracts of pure beneficence, the mere liberality of the benefactor. So, ito pong si cause, yung essential or proximate cause kung bakit pumpasok sa kontrata yung mga parties. It is immediate and direct, which justifies the creation of an obligation through the will of contracting parties. Ang requisites natin, kailangan it exists, it must be true, and it must be licit or legal. Although the cause is not stated in the contract, it is presumed that it exists and is lawful unless the debtor proves the contrary. So, what are the kinds of cause? Cause of onerous contracts, the cause is understood to be for each contracting party, the prestation is promise of a hiring service by the other. Cause or remuneratory contracts, service or benefit remunerated. Cause of gratuitous contracts, yung mga donation, mere liberality of the donor or benefactor. Cause of accessory contracts, identical with cause of principal contract from which the accessory derive its life and existence. Article 1351, the particular motives of the parties in entering into a contract are different from the cause thereof. So, ano ba ang difference ng cause at motive? Ang cause, it is direct and most proximate reason ng contract. Si motive, indirect or remote reason. As to kind of reason in the contract, objective and juridical reason of a contract. Si motive, psychological or purely personal reason. As to legal effect, si cause, kailangan legal siya palagi kasi pagka illegal siya, it would be void. Pag motive, legality or illegality of the motive does not affect the existence or validity of a contract. As to parties, cause is always the same for each contracting party. Sa motive, it differs for each contracting party. Cause, as to its knowability, it is always known. Si motive, it may be known to the other. Example natin, nagkaroon ng bentahan ng kotse. Si seller, binenta niya yung kotse niya for 500,000 pesos. Si buyer, binili yung kotse. Ang cost ni seller is to earn money, which is pagka yung binayaran na siya ni buyer. Si buyer naman po is para mapasa kanya yung possession ng kotse, para magkakotse siya. Yun yung cost. Let's say, ang motive ni seller kung bakit niya binenta yung kotse kasi kailangan niya ng pera. Si motive naman ni buyer, kaya siya bumili ng kotse, is pangkikidnap niya. So, yung motive ni buyer, kahit na ba illegal siya, it would not render the contract void. Kasi nga po, motive, legality or illegality does not affect the existence or validity of the contract. Article 1352, contracts without cause or with unlawful cause produce no effect whatever. The cause is unlawful if it is contrary to law, morals, good customs, public order, or public policy. So, syempre, pagka kayo po ay nakipagkontrata, kailangan yung kontrata nyo ay legal. So, yung usapan nyo, kailangan legal. So, yung, kunwari, nangontrata ka, sabi mo, meron ka kasing papapatay. So, the contract is void kasi unlawful yung cause. It produces no effect. Or other example pa natin, kunwari mag-asawa, nag-enter sila sa kontrata na pinapayagan nila ang bawat isa na magkaroon ng kanya-kanyang partner. So, open marriage. So, that is void kasi it is contrary to law, morals, good customs, public order, or public policy. Article 1353, the statement of a false cause in contract shall render them void if it should not be proved that they were founded upon another cause which is true and lawful. So, the cause is false if the contract states a consideration but the statement is not true. So, the statement of a false cause in a contract shall render it void. Example natin, nagkaroon ng bentahan si seller at si buyer at pinirmahan ng parties, in-indicate na yung price is already paid for 100,000 pesos. Pero ang totoo, hindi pa nagbabayad si buyer. So, in that effect, the contract is void. But, kung mapapatunayan ni buyer na totoo yung nakalagay dun sa contract na nakapagbayad na siya, or instead of giving 100,000 for that truck, nagbigay siya ng alahas, then the contract is valid because although the cost stated in the contract, the giving of 100,000 is false, the said contract was founded upon another cause which is the giving nung alahas. Article 1354, so yung sabi natin kanina, kahit hindi po nakastate yung cause dun sa contract, it is presumed that it exists and it is lawful unless the debtor proves the contrary. And then Article 1355, except in cases specified by law, lesion or inadequacy of cause shall not invalidate a contract unless there has been fraud, mistake, or undue influence. So, ito po yung mga summarize lang ng mga rules relating to cause on contracts. Absence of cause confers no right. Failure of cause does not render the contract void kasi pwedeng may ibang cause na pinalit. Illegality of cause, contract is null and void. Falsity of cause, contract is void unless the party show that there is another cause which is true and lawful. Ang lesion po, ito po yung parang lugi, kumbaga. It does not invalidate the contract unless mayroong fraud, mistake, or undue influence, when the parties intended a donation or some other contract, or in cases specified by law. So, contract centered by guardian with court approval when the ward suffers lesion of more than 25%. If there is no contract, if there is no court approval, the contract is void regardless of the amount of lesion. So, ito pong lesion na tinatawag natin is, kunwari, ang lupa mo is, ang value niya or ang fair market value niya is 1,000 per square meter. Pero hindi mo alam yun. Si buyer, sinabi niya sa'yo na ang fair market value nito is actually 500 pesos per square meter lang kasi bumaba daw yung market niya, yung value niya sa market. So, in that effect, nagkaroon po ng fraud sa parte ni buyer kasi niloko ka niya, pinalabas niya na mura lang yung bentahan ng lupa mo. At dahil dun sa kanyang fraud na ginawa, nagsuffer ka ng lesion kasi instead na kumita ka, nalugi ka pa.